Knocked away, Marshall, Clark, to the rim. An 11-0 Iowa run. As one of the arena cameramen got hit there after the bucket, and the officials stopped play.
Right here, this is Caitlin Clark all on her own, jumping out to double team. She sensed that she could get the steals, that she could create some havoc, and she did, and got the layup the other way. Let's go.
Gabby Marshall approves.
This is Joseph Newgarden. Joseph was conceived to win races. Stopped drinking milk at 2, picked it back up at 32. Good for strong bones. Tell that to his clavicle. Joseph's like an action hero who wins even when he loses. This is his wife, his Tuesdays, his hand-eye coordination. He might have the greatest jawline in sports.
He's not that handsome.
He even wrote a children's book about winning. America loved it. Joseph loves the smell of unleaded gasoline. He hates imperfection. He doesn't believe in magic, but on Sundays, Joseph flies. This is Joseph Newgarden. Welcome to the fastest racing on earth.
Some people look at Sonny Hayes. They see a guy who lives in a van, a gambling junkie who missed his shot, the best that never was. But I see possibility.
And if you don't love me now, we'll never.
My rook is a phenomenal talent, but he's young. You plus him, boom, I got a team.
When was the last time you won a race?
Sunday, Daytona.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant Formula One.
Oh, I'm sorry. Then same as you.
There's this new guy. He's old. He's such a prick. He's quick though.
If you had any constructive criticism for each other, what would it be?
Don't be such an ass kid. That was constructive.
Wow.
Did you win something? There's 20 other drivers still out on that track. Do you think any of them respect us?
They're saying Sonny Hayes isn't a has-been. He's a never was.
If the last thing I do is drive that car, I will take that life, man. 1,000 times.
I'm offering you an open seat in Formula One. The only place you could say, if you win, you are the absolute best in the world.
This is Alex Palou, a conquistador of concrete from the start. Alex grew up practicing kissing girlfriends to be ready for the day he'd meet bricks. Alex is so fast he does his taxes January 1st. He speed reads 2 novels before noon. He's Spanish, but he'll French kiss on the first date. Racing's what he thinks about in awkward silences. Racing's what he thinks about when people aren't talking about racing. Racing's why he's a grown man haunted by milk. Alex has traveled the world. Here are his favorite places: Portland, Detroit, Monterey, Portland again, and rent-free in 32 drivers' heads. This is the front of his car, but if you race him, you'll just see the back. This is 3-time IndyCar champ Alex Palou. Welcome to the fastest racing on earth.
My driving style, it's always been aggressive. I think it's gone from being all out, all risk. Now it's a marathon, not a sprint.
A new year, a new era, a new season. Welcome to the all-new F125.
Now there was a time.
It's a great start for Hamilton.
Awesome.
What a race this has been from Mayer.
Still we rise, guys.
The rookie showing the champ what he's made of here.
It is quick.
That was fun. I catch it.
She's going for it. Oh no! Her race is over.
Remember, we don't beat Red Bull by copying them.
Focus on the bigger picture.
Into the pits they come. And they come out with a pit entry.
Yes, guys.
This is a game changer.
This is amazing.
I'm on it.
Jackson's making a move on Piastri. Hamilton goes the other way. This is going to be so close. Side by side to the line. He's done it.
Let's go.
And Hamilton wins.
If you think you know how your story ends, think again.
Oh, and who's this?
How you like me now?
Pre-order F125 now.
This is Pato Award. His last name's Irish, but his first words were... Pato's the fastest 25-year-old on four wheels. He's can't miss TV for everyone but his own mother, and he's tasted every kind of victory except for the lactose variety. Pato looks like a one-man boy band. He charms like a British spy. He smells like burnt rubber. And he doesn't have fans. He's got groupies. So take a look at the next face of IndyCar, because whether you love him or love him, he's about to turn this whole sport upside down. This is Pato Award. Welcome to the fastest racing on Earth.
It's overtime, sponsored by Credit One Bank.
Taylor Gray's right there on the rear bumper. Starpoli's in the wall.
No caution, we race on. Here comes Taylor Gray to the inside. Side by side for the lead into turn 3. Coming back to the white flag at Martinsville.
And he did it exactly like Sammy Smith did it, maybe even a little bit cleaner, moved him up the racetrack, and potentially he's going to clear him off for turn 4. They're side by side to turn 1.
Taylor Gray back to the race lead. 3 of the last 6 races at Martinsville have had a last lap pass. 54 in charge. Sammy Smith is there. Justin Allgaier is there. Will there be contact? There is. There goes Gray. Here comes Allgaier. Austin Hill out of nowhere is going to win.
Oh my goodness.
Martinsville. Do you believe that? With a huge crash at the start-finish line.
Dude, I hate this place too, but that was unbelievable. Good job, dude. Good job.
And it's not just a win, it's $100,000 and the 100th win all time for Richard Childress Racing. An incredible finish at the paperclip.
Driver, start your
Good evening, race fans. Welcome to the Drafting the Circus program brought to you by Sinister One Productions. My name is Frank Santaros, going to be your host for the next hour as we discuss last week in racing and preview next week. Joining me tonight, Richard Uden. Richard, how are you, buddy?
I'm very good. Yourself?
Fantastic, as always. Quick tip of the hat to our sponsors, IndyCar on Fox. Warner Brothers Formula One trailer. That movie comes out June 27th. EA Sports Formula 1 25. That game will come out soon. If you're a gamer, you'll probably want to grab this one. It looks pretty spectacular. And Luis Torres Multimedia. And Luis doesn't even talk to me that much anymore, so I'm about ready to pull him off the list. Luis, if you're listening. Louise, if you're listening. So today is April 2nd, and I hope you had a fun time navigating the social media and the news things for the April Fool's stories. And there's always a lot of pretty good auto racing ones that come up there. And I've written some myself. I mean, I did the whole Newgarden and Logano were going to do the double at the Indy Charlotte, but I didn't do one this year. But some of the ones I saw this year include, the classics. Michael Andretti to enter the Indy 500 for the last time. Long Beach Grand Prix signed with Formula One for the next 10 years. Red Bull is going to replace Yuki Tsunoda with Isaac Rashin at the first pit stop in Japan. All these April Fool's jokes, but I did see one that really caught my eye. I thought it was funny, and it came from Tony Kanaan. Tony Kanaan, a IndyCar champion and an Indianapolis 500 winner, who's also known as a very fine-looking bald man. And people have compared his looks to Vin Diesel. So, Keith, do you have that graphic of Tony's social post? Let's go ahead and put that up there for a second. There you go. Tony, TK with hair plugs. Oh, gotta love it. That was my favorite April Fool's joke of the day. And it's kind of funny because sometimes these things reel somebody in. I was talking to John Oriovitz, the journalist and author, who's a friend of the show, friend of our show. He's the author of the book Indy Split. He was telling me about a April Fool's joke back in about 2001, where the joke was that Kia was to become the third manufacturer in the kart series, and one of his colleagues spent like 4 hours writing a 2,000-word piece on this to publish before he realized it was a prank. So, and also the other funny one was that Harley Davidson had put one out years ago that had been entirely overtaken by Japanese manufacturers. And I was speaking with somebody on social media, and they pulled this out. And said, Harley Davidson is all Japanese. I'm like, that was a April Fool's prank from like 4 years ago. So I love April Fools. It's always fun to see who gets caught up, who gets trapped, who doesn't. So, but anyway, so let's pretty light week of racing this week. We had NASCAR active, we had NHRA active, IndyCar and Formula One taking the week off. NASCAR at Martinsville, all 3 series running. In the Cup race, Richard, your Toyota guys represented well. 1, 2,
We had
3
a pretty
finish.
good weekend. Yeah, we had a pretty good weekend.
You had Denny go ahead punching his card to the playoffs.
Yep. Yeah.
And Bubba Wallace coming in third. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a really good good cup race for us. I must admit, Denny's somebody that you always associate with running well at Martinsville, and in a strange way, he hasn't won there for 10 years. So for somebody who's so dominant there, you'd have expected a little bit more from him. But this is his first win in 10 years. Got I think it's his 5th win there, maybe 6th. I'm not sure the exact numbers, but yeah, that's another grandfather clock.
Yeah, he used to rule that place. Yeah,
yeah,
and he's of course from Virginia.
Yep.
So he's a local favorite.
Yep. And he drove exemplary. Not only did he have really good restarts and good short run pace, but he could look after his tires through the middle of a stint, and then towards the end of a stint, he'd typically pull away from whoever was in the chasing pack. And he didn't have to worry about anybody getting to his rear or anything like that. The only thing that obviously could have been an issue for him was a late race caution there, and thankfully everybody was reasonably well behaved, unlike the Xfinity race.
I was going to say it was kind of a mild Martinsville race from. And again, I lived in Roanoke, Virginia, in the '90s, which is 40-minute drive to Martinsville. And I would go to both the spring and fall races every year. And some of the races I got to see were always crazy, chaotic, bang them up. And this, all in all, it was kind of a very calm, tame Martinsville race.
There's
a few little dust ups. There are, yeah.
You're always going to get that when you've got 30-something plus cars in half a mile of racetrack. But you look at you did have a couple of instances where you had the old, caution breeds caution sort of instances. But, outside of that, nothing crazy. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me, everybody. Good grief. That's the North Carolina pollen for you. But no, it was, it was a good, reasonably well-behaved race. And, I think it probably helped at certain moments for Denny to have Chris Bell behind, because obviously Chris Bell's comfortably locked into the playoffs there with 3 wins. And as much as Chris would like to add to that list for the year, he's not going to take any risks or do anything stupid or put his car where it's not needed. So, there was never really any threat from behind. So, comfortable weekend for Denny in the end there. Really well done. Toyota could have and should have had a clean sweep of those races. In reality, Tanner Gray should have won on Saturday night in the Xfinity race. Going into the last lap, he was he'd made a couple of on a couple of restarts there. He'd made a couple of nice moves on Sammy Smith and another ex Toyota driver there. And raced very clean. Didn't typical Martinsville. You lean on somebody, but you don't get silly. And was comfortably ahead on the green-white checker, restart at the end. And coming into turn 3 on the final lap, Sammy Smith came from about 3 car lengths behind and just drove straight into the back of him, took both of them out the race, took a couple of other guys out the race, and I think it was Austin Hill came through to claim RCR's 100th win in NASCAR series.
Austin Hill had a grandfather clock Landers lap.
I mean, that was you can't knock them, but I mean there was no way they deserved that win by any stretch of the imagination. Let's say Tanner drove a great race there, and had the capability of driving away on a restart, and did everything he needed to do. And yeah, that was bad. And unfortunately, NASCAR have issued their penalty report yesterday, and to my mind, Sammy Smith got off very, very lightly. Yeah, he's had a points deduction and a fine, but the fine's not going to impact him. He's from a very well-off young man. The points may affect him, but the chances are he'll win a race at some point throughout the year to get in the playoffs. So again, it's not going to impact them. And yeah, I was amazed that he didn't get at least a one-race suspension, if not 2 or 3 for that, because that was
because it was pretty similar
not
to
how you race.
pretty similar to Austin Dillon, where they pulled him out of playoffs.
Similarly,
for
obviously.
Richmond, where it was just it's a really reckless move.
Yeah, you've got to start, especially at that age. Especially it's almost worse with the young kids because they've got to learn not to do that. And I get it. It's easy for us to sit here and say that we're not in that position on a weekly basis. We're not there doing what they're doing. Every week chasing those wins. In 40 years' time, when the kid's talking to his grandchildren and telling him how many Xfinity and NASCAR races he won, they're not going to care whether they turn somebody or move somebody out of the way. So I get it, but we've got to be better than that as a sport. I think without any hesitation, it left a lot to be desired from the driving standards. And left a very bitter taste in the mouth.
And beyond the overtime incident, the rest of the race was pretty messy as well.
Yeah, again, there was a lot of
bumping and banging, and
a lot of silly little contacts, and a lot of cautions there that were unavoidable. But that's Martinsville for you. And you think it's bad in the spring race, you wait till the fall race when there's playoff places on the line. For the championship 4 or whatever it may be. So it could be a little even more intense then. But it was the standard of driving there was poor or disappointing. And on the opposite end, to my mind, the truck race on Friday night went very well. In terms of driving standards. And again, from our side, from a Toyota perspective, Corey Heim and Tricon Carriage had that race sewn up. He was driving away from the pack when he needed to. He was making moves. He could drop back into the field and then drive back to the front within a few laps. It was very, very impressive. And then late in the race, he got side by side with another truck. I can't remember who it was, and had a cut left rear tire, and that just took him out of the race. So unfortunately, from a Toyota perspective, a case of what could have been, should have been. Had a very, very encouraging evening or weekend, sorry. And hopefully we can carry on that into Darlington this weekend with the Xfinity and the Cup Series.
Yep, and Darlington, of course, going to be the throwback weekend. We've seen many of these throwback schemes that are being thrown out there. We saw the the Jim Clark scheme. Somebody just released a scheme that's going to mirror Bobby Unser's 1975 Indy 500 winner, which I'm like, it's really kind of cool that some of these throwbacks are throwbacks to Indy 500 cars rather than older Cup cars. Now the bulk of the throwbacks are to older Cup cars. So, but,
I mean, you're running out of cars you can throw back. So, I think it's lost its its effect a little bit, because I remember when I first came over here 10 years ago, it was a bit I think that they had the first one, I'm going to say in like 16 maybe, and it was a big deal. They really made a big thing of it. Every team went there with a throwback scheme, and even some of the teams like the uniforms, and they had
the announcers were
announcers.
wearing
Yeah,
leisure suits. Yeah,
yeah. And now it's like, oh, well, if you want to do one, you can. It's not an official throwback. It's not like a 70s throwback or an 80s throwback, or again, the run out of genres and eras to throw back to. And I think it'll disappear within a couple of years. I think the teams will get it's too much of an effort to do this every time.
Oh man! So before we get too far off of the Xfinity race, we should mention that both Gemma Burton and Tanner Clay were fined $5,000 apiece for confronting other drivers in the infield care center.
Yep.
Which is, confront the guy on pit lane all you want. Infield care center off limits. So
yeah, I get that. But I mean, I think, especially in Tanner Gray's case, it was after what happened, he was pretty lucky he didn't put Sammy Smith in the infield care center. Never mind, had to go and visit him there.
Yeah. So Eric Jones was disqualified out of the Cup race. Do you know what the specifics on that were?
No, there was a weight infraction. Obviously, they came in underweight, and I don't know any more than that, really. And it's, unlike Formula One, where they're pretty strict on it, NASCAR does give you 0.5% leeway. So they were, quite considerably underweight there. So, yeah, a little bit surprised that happened. I know, obviously, I work quite closely with LMC, on a lot of their work, and they're certainly investing heavily in that program. They've got a lot of very capable guys there, so I'm surprised that one slipped through the cracks there. It happens, there's no doubt about it. It happens, but yeah, they're slowly working on their program, trying to find more pace week in, week out, and they'll get there. They're they actually just announced that they're suing, because that's all the rage at the moment in the Cup Series. Rick Ware Racing over an agreement to sell a third charter. So
I did hear about that. Yeah. So
by looks of things, LMC want to run a third car in 2026. Rick Ware Racing is selling a charter, and LMC were in negotiations to purchase it. As far as LMC were concerned, they'd signed all the paperwork and sort of crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's. And then Rick Ware Racing appears to be reneging on that agreement, which, without wanting to cast aspersions on anybody, I think is a pretty standard playbook by the Rick Ware organization. They don't have many, how should we say, many friends in the Cup garage or any racing series garage when it comes to scruples, should we say. I can't remember the exact wording that Rick Ware used, but it's what did he say? Hang on, I did read the quote earlier. He said, misguided attempt to tarnish our reputation. I'm sorry, Mr. Ware. I think you can tarnish your own reputation quite easily.
And Cody can help him out.
So. Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. So, speaking of Rick Ware, we've got news about him when we get to the NHRA segment of the show, which we'll have to do very briefly because Lee is not with us and he knows a lot more than I do.
Yeah, he knows more than I do as well, unfortunately.
Yep, exactly. So we're off to Darlington.
Yep.
So Richard, which Toyota driver do you like to win Darlington?
Oh, goodness me. It's very much everybody looks at Darlington and you think, it's the guys that like to run the wall. So you obviously throw Tyler Reddick straight into that equation. Although he did struggle a little bit at Homestead. It's another track similar from a driving style. Bubba looked good at Homestead. So, he's had some really good finishes in the last few weeks. He's been knocking on the top fives, for a number of races now. So you could easily imagine Bubba getting the job done, which I think would be good to see. we were in Michigan yesterday with Ty Gibbs testing up there, and he's putting the hours in, he's putting the effort in, and he's had a little bit of a struggle this year at times. But I think that team's starting to turn a corner, and he could be in the mix. So yeah, I think there's, in the Gibbs and 2311 camp, I think there's 5 or 6 guys that you wouldn't be surprised if they walked away with the victory.
I've last year I was picking Ty Gibbs over and over again to win his first race.
Yeah,
and he hasn't done it yet, but I think it's not that far off for this young man.
No, I mean, I think obviously early in the year there was that sort of youthful exuberance, I guess, and he hadn't been, and how do we say this nicely, he hadn't been damaged by the sport. He hadn't, it was all green and very naive to it, I guess, in a way. And obviously, as you go through more races, you gain that experience and you gain the bad situations, and that obviously puts a little bit of doubt into your mind, and it does impact your performances. It's just for him, it's a case of overcoming those and really growing into the seat. I think he, with Kyle Busch obviously moving over to RCR, it probably was by the plan of the JGR organization, the Toyota organization, maybe a year earlier than we'd like to have got him in a full-time Cup car, but he's done some really good things.
How old is Ty these day and age? Is he like 21?
I think he's 21. Yeah. I did see a statistic that came out that there's 22. Sorry, it's 22.
Okay.
I did see a statistic that came out that he is now the longest, or he has the most races for Joe Gibbs Racing without a Cup win, which is a little disappointing for him. Yeah, he has I don't know about let's have a look. How many? He has 90. Well, he had a few races for 2311 back in 2022, so. He has almost 90 races for JGR and hasn't won. I think he's beaten JJ Yeley's record.
Yeah, but those aren't 90 Cup races.
Yeah, they are. Yeah,
really, he's been in 90 Cup races. Holy shit!
Yeah. So he debuted in 2022, replacing Kurt Busch after Kurt had his accident at Pocono. And then he's had two full seasons with JGR in the 54, and this season so far. So you look at it, and even with JGR at what 35, 36, 70, that's getting on for 80 races with the in the 54 car. So he obviously wants to break that duck and get those wins, and it's coming. He's there's no doubt talent there, but it's it takes time, and it's a steep learning curve in these cars. They're not easy things to drive, and I think it'll be it's not far away. I'm pretty certain he'll break through this year and get that win. And it's going to be it'd be good for him to get that monkey off his back, and I think he's one of those guys that'll just keep on going and get better and better.
All right. So that being said, I'm going to pick Ty Gibbs for Darlington.
Yep.
And then I'll be back on next week to tell you. Well, I shouldn't have done that.
No, let's hope not. Let's hope not.
All right. So we do need to talk about NHRA, which was the other series that was active this weekend. They had the Winter Nationals in Pomona.
Yep.
Clay Middlecan won Top Fuel. Clay drives for Rick Ware Racing.
Yep.
Rick Ware, the guy we love to hate. So good job for him. Funny car. The winner was Jack Beckman. Pro Stock, Greg Anderson. Again, that's about all I know. Was just results without Lee.
Yeah, I must admit, I don't know.
Yeah, without Lee here to add some nuance to it, I'm a little lost. But Lee has he's a busy man. He's been very good about being here. But when one of our team needs a day off, we cover for him. And like, you guys helped me out last year when I needed a couple of days off, and Richard, I appreciate you standing in for me. So I wish I could elaborate more on the NHRA, but I can't. I mean, I could sit here and make shit up and say, yeah, these guys drove real fast in a straight line, and one guy was ahead of the other. But, beyond that, I don't know. So,
all right. Sorry, guys.
So, Formula One going to Suzuka this weekend.
Yes.
Red Bull is going to run their white livery that honors Honda. Honda early Honda contributions. So they will have Yuki Tsunoda in the car. And one of the funniest things I read was that poor old Yuki Tsunoda got promoted to a slower car. But I mean, it was Max Verstappen who said that Red Bull is realistically the fourth best team right now. And the fact that car is tailored to him and not any teammate. I honestly can see Liam Lawson out-qualifying Yuki.
Potentially,
unless Yuki just takes to this car like a duck to water, which absolutely could happen. So
it could. I mean, I think it's you can't. This has been a long time coming. This move to Red Bull for Yuki. Obviously, he was drafted into the squad with a lot of backing from Honda, and that relationship between the Red Bull group and Honda has obviously become strained over the years. You wondered where he fitted into the equation, but and this isn't meant to be a derogatory term, but the guy just won't go away. Every time they bring a teammate in to compete against him, he pushes them and he challenges them and he beats them. I don't think he's lost.
As a good driver should.
Yeah, I mean, he's off the top of my head, he's obviously beaten Nick De Vries quite comfortably, which ended up in De Vries being demoted. He beat Daniel Ricciardo reasonably comfortably. I think Daniel obviously showed his class at times, but it certainly wasn't consistent enough. And even in the races they had together last year, to my mind, he was more a complete driver than Liam Lawson was. Now, obviously, Red Bull didn't agree and they went with Lawson, which I think was never really surprised anybody. But I think a lot of people didn't agree with the decision. Obviously, Red Bull have, magnitudes more data than we do when we're just watching the races. There's a lot of stuff in the background that we don't see. What was Lawson like in the simulator when they can actually run the, spec Red Bull car compared to what we see on track? What's driver feedback like? What's their engineering abilities? How do they work with the race engineers? Obviously, we all know at times Yuki's been a little bit fiery on the radio, but he's calmed down a lot on that. And if there's ever a guy has deserved his chance and bided his time, now is it. It's almost, but you almost get this feeling that the promotion of Yuki to that car is one of reluctance from Red Bull, especially from Helmut Marko. It's like, oh, geez, all right, we'll give you a go. We've got, he's like the kid who always, like, in sort of, high schools, always, knocking on the coach's door, wanting to play a game or whatever. And eventually it's like, oh, okay, yeah, well, enough people are injured, so yeah, you get a go. It's not because, oh, he's done really well over the last few years, he deserves the opportunity, he's been the fastest road. None of that. It's like, yeah, okay, go on then. Shows what you can do. So it is very much up to him.
Like putting Rudy in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it's like, go on then. It's, and I really hope he takes an opportunity, and I really hope he does better than Lawson did. I don't think he can do much worse, in all fairness. but shows what he's capable of, because I think there is some talent there. You don't get to be a seasoned Formula One driver, which he is now,
Oh, he
without
absolutely is. Yeah.
without real talent. I mean, how many? This is his fourth year in Formula One or third? I mean, no, actually, no, this is his fifth full-time season. And you look at where he's finished, throughout those seasons, and he's beating his teammates. I mean, who's his first season? Yeah, I mean Pierre Gasly. I think he beat Gasly in his first season.
I don't know. You're the one with
No,
your
Gasly
computer
did
up.
finish. Gasly did finish ahead of him, but again, Gasly's a very, very, very good driver. And I don't think you can. If he's a benchmark, then that's a pretty damn good benchmark, in all fairness,
Yeah.
to compare against. And then
And
you know,
Yuki was a rookie that year too. So
yeah, and then where did he do his second year against him? Yeah, again, he was only just behind him in his second full season. So, there's certainly ability there. And again, if your benchmark is Gasly, I don't think you're far off. And I still stand by it. I think Red Bull made a mistake letting Gasly go. I really rate Gasly very, very highly. I think he's a quality driver, and as I say, I think it's a shame that they let him go.
I think Red Bull made a mistake letting Kvyat go.
Well, they've made a lot. I mean, goodness me, you look at the list of, you look at the list of the drivers they've let go over the years, and
yeah,
it's not good reading. It does make you look at it and you go, wow, they let a lot of good drivers go. I mean, you just off the top of your head, these guys like Jaime Al-Uswari, Sebastian Buemi, Jean-Eric Verne, so Gasly, Albon, Kvyat. There's some really good drivers that have slipped through the net there. That, yeah, it's not. I think that they've let a lot of it's a lot of people down, but they've let a lot of drivers down there with their swapping and changing to try and find that, and I think it shows that, when they had Danny Ricciardo there in his prime with Max Verstappen, I think they handled that pretty badly because, and Danny was very open with it, especially because I think that was the first season of Drive to Survive when it was quite well documented that, Danny was like, hey, this team is built around Max. I don't have a chance here. I can't compete with this. And it opened up the opportunity for, the start of this second, if you like, second batch of driver merry-go-rounds with Red Bull. And yeah, they've just never found somebody that can not compete. I don't think they want somebody to compete with Max, but somebody that can be competent with Max. And obviously, Checo did the job for a while, but you've got to ask. It must be so demoralizing as a driver knowing that A, the guy in the garage next to you is fundamentally quicker, and B, you're never going to get that support to, fully achieve what you're capable of because the whole team is built around Max winning. And
well, the car is built around Max's driving style.
Yeah,
which makes it even harder because we've seen guys that have been very patient number twos. Think Rubens Barrichello to Michael Schumacher. Think Riccardo Patrese to Nigel Mansell at Williams.
Valtteri Bottas to Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, absolutely. But at least they had a shot at finishing second in the championship. And every now and again, you've seen these things we saw with Schumacher and with Mansell, where they just slide over and let their teammate pass them, give their teammate a win. just to thank them for their loyalty. But
Yeah. It's a little bit
it-
patronizing, isn't it?
yeah, but if you've got a car that you fundamentally can't drive well
Yeah.
because it's set up to a very unique style that Max has,
True. Yeah.
So you're I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but I wish Yuki the best. But at the same time, I so but who do you like for Suzuka?
Oh
It's
my
hard.
God.
It's hard to look past the McLarens.
It is. It is. You're very right. Wow. Yeah. It is hard to look past them. Yeah. I mean, you pick one of the two, don't you? I mean, they both look pretty good. They both look pretty, competitive there. There's not much that, distinguishes the two, between the two at the moment. I think we've seen them, neck and neck through the first two races of the year. So, I mean, throw Lando out there and say good luck. I think.
So if you're taking Lando, I'll take Oscar.
Yeah.
And we'll have a McLaren one too. But as we said, say that, watch George Russell jump in there and win the race for Mercedes.
That'd be great. I'd love to see it. Yeah.
Yep, love to see it. All right, so Japanese Grand Prix will be coming to you in the middle of the night Saturday.
Gosh, wouldn't it just? Yeah, I don't know when it will be. Actually, I haven't checked the timings yet.
Well, in the U.S., it's usually on the East Coast.
Let's have a look. Your time, 1 a.m. on Sunday morning.
Yep, there you go. All right, so in the IndyCar world, if you don't know, if you've never been to the Indianapolis Speedway and seen the Hall of Fame Museum, it's truly a sight. But they closed the museum a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, for a major renovation, and they reopened the museum April 1st, so yesterday, or April 2nd today. I think it's officially open to the public today. And from all accounts I've read and some of the pictures I've seen, and I haven't seen a ton of pictures because they didn't let anybody in preview events take photography, but there are a couple of videos out there on YouTube from journalists and whatnot who were able to take pictures. But for all the reports I've seen, it's absolutely spectacular, wonderfully done. But I'm going to tell you this, Indy 500 fans, if you want to visit a museum during your Indy 500 trip, make a reservation right now. They're only until after the 500 there, you can only visit the museum via reservation.
Oh, wow.
And then after the 500 is over, you can show up anytime. I mean, that museum is open 364 days a year. But if you don't live locally where you can just pop in at any time and you just want to catch it on your trip to Indianapolis, don't miss out on it by not booking a time in advance. So I'm just telling you, I've seen some pictures and videos, and it's pretty damn impressive what they've done with that place. And it was really cool to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So, but so there you go.
I think the last time I was there was the weekend they closed it. No, maybe that was 2 years ago. So yeah, no, I've been there since when they were redoing the development. But I think I was there the weekend it closed, and it's a great place if you get a chance to go.
Last time I was there had to been 2019, I guess. I mean, I'm at Indy every year, but I don't hit the museum every year. 2019, and they were doing the Mario Andretti exhibit. Because 50 years since Mario's win, and they have the Lotus 79.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, sappy as it sounds, I cheered up a little bit when I was that close to that car.
They're impressive things, aren't they?
Oh my God, beautiful automobile. Despite the fact that it had Avon tires on it, but we could overlook that. But I'm like, golly, this is a Lotus 79. This is the thing that set the standard for open wheel racing for the next several decades.
Oh yeah.
But to see that, beautifully restored Mario Andretti's Lotus 79 was just, give you goosebumps.
Yeah.
If you're a true race fan.
Oh yeah. I mean, and hopefully, I mean, I do know that talking to some of the guys that have been there, from the racing world, they were lucky enough to get like behind the scenes tour, and I think one of the reasons they've done this redevelopment is to get more cars on display, because they had a large number of
they had all these cars in the basement,
just in the basement, and they were lucky enough to get a behind the scenes tour, if you like, and see some of those, when they said that was even better in a way than the actual main museum.
Yeah. I mean, I was there for the 100th running in the museum when they were taking some of the cars out to the track to give them demonstration laps. And I took a little video of them bringing Johnny Rutherford's 1976 race winning McLaren back into the garage, back into the museum after letting it out on the track, and watching them take the nose off to carefully get it through the door, and then putting it back together and get it back into space. It's like incredible.
Oh yeah, and they're so well looked after. We're really lucky that they really care about their history there, and they invest in it so heavily, because there's some pieces there that are priceless in many ways, and the history behind it is to be championed for sure.
Yeah, and it's not just museum pieces. There are a lot of interactive kind of exhibits in there. Videos to watch and these sort of things. And I can't wait to get out there and visit the new one here. So, but again, if you want to go before the 500, hop on the IMS website, make your reservation now. Okay, buddy of mine was trying to make some reservations for Saturday. There were only a few left. He was lucky enough to get a few spots. So there you go.
How much did it cost to enter the museum? I don't know. Is it a free entry or
no? It's gosh, I really don't know what it costs right now, but in the past it wasn't restricted. It was like $7.
Okay, good.
Or something like that. It wasn't anything crazy. Might be more. Might be $15. Who could tell? I really haven't looked into that. So get on the IMS website, see what it costs, and then get back to me and tell me. So, other IndyCar news. Kyle Larson. I mean, we've heard of this guy. He's going to do the double for the second time.
Are you doing it this year as well?
Yeah.
Is it this year? Okay.
So he's now.
Okay. The prices have gone up a little bit. Sorry, I did just check. $25 for an adult.
Oh, there you go.
18 for 6 to 16-year-olds, and under 5s are free.
I mean,
seniors over 55s are $23, Frank, just in case you need to know that.
I am over 55.
There you go. Congratulations, you've made it to 55. Here's $2 off. Don't spend it all at once.
$2 is $2, man. I'm gonna tell you.
Exactly.
Richard, wait till you turn 50.
Oh my gosh.
The day you turn 50, you walk out to your mailbox, grab the mail, and there's an invitation to sign up for AARP.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, how'd you know today was my birthday? I threw that thing right in the trash.
Yep. No doubt.
So, all right. So Kyle Larson, running the double again with McLaren and with Hendrick. Picked up sponsorship from Amazon Prime Video. Now,
yeah, big name.
Now, if you're not aware, Amazon Prime is also going to be the exclusive place to watch the Coca-Cola 600 from Charlotte.
Yep.
It's not going to be on network TV, not going to be on broadcast TV.
That's crazy to think, isn't it?
Crazy to think that, yeah. So they're going to film a documentary, I guess, chronicling his journey of running the 2 races, and release that on Amazon, which, that'll be cool to watch. I don't care who you are, but so they released a livery today. Keith, you got the photo? So there you go. Hendrick Cars and Prime Video as sponsor. So now Kyle Larson, he's got one Indy 500 under his belt. So he kind of knows the drill.
Yep.
How much of a threat do you think he is to win the thing? Because this guy, we already recognize him as a generational talent and capable of jumping in any car and winning stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The Indy 500, however, is a big fish to fry.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, again, we've talked about this, every time somebody does this, and I will still, repeat my comment. I'm not a fan of this double thing, or whatever you want to call it, the doing the double. I think it detracts from the series. It detracts from people that are, genuinely trying to go out there and win the IndyCar Championship and the Indy 500. Again, we talk about it. What happens if, Larson gets in a wreck with somebody and, takes out a guy and then he misses out on the championship by a handful of points? It's good from a media standpoint, a marketing standpoint, but to my mind, it undermines the legitimacy of the series. Because I don't care who you are, even Kyle Larson, you cannot commit 100% to either of those races if you're trying to do this. There is no way you can turn around and say that you have committed 100% to the Coke 600 or the Indy 500 doing both at the same time. And it's not just the Coke. It's not just the Coke 600, because the Indy 500 is a month-long event. So he'll probably miss All-Star qualifying like he did again last year. It's just, especially when you're competing for championships like Kyle Larson is. If Kyle Larson wins the Cup Series championship this year, you will not be surprised, because, as you say, he's a generational talent. This isn't somebody who's at the end of his career who's wanting to go out on a bit of a swan song and have a bit of a, headline maker.
Yeah, like Kurt Busch.
Yeah, this is, yeah. I now, that's not to say he couldn't win the Indy 500. I think there's every chance that he can go there and compete and win it, without any hesitation. I think he could. I think there's very, very few series that he could jump into and not be competitive straight away. And we saw last year, he certainly has the capability of winning the Indy 500. If McLaren can put together a capable car, which they've been struggling with the last few, last while there. So
I don't know. Pato finished second the last 2 years in a row to Joseph, but I think they gave Pato a pretty damn good car, capable of winning.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But I don't know. I will always be a skeptic and always be a critic of this, because, again, you see what happened last year when the rain, came in, Indy, and he was late getting to the Coke 600, so he couldn't start the race, and then
That was a
it's
mess.
just
Yeah.
it just makes a mockery of it to my mind. It's like you're a Hendrick Motorsport driver in, probably one of the most coveted NASCAR seats available. This isn't. No, it doesn't sit comfortably with me.
All right. Duly noted. And we are out of topics for tonight. So we got 10 minutes.
10 minutes, yep.
What do you want to chat about?
Oh, I don't know.
Why don't you soapbox something real quick?
Oh my gosh.
And
give me a topic. Give me a topic. I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
I need 2 minutes to step away.
Oh my gosh.
Here's a top 2 minutes tops. Here's a topic for you.
Please don't say tariffs. Please don't say tariffs.
No. No. So let's say a Brad Pitt movie coming out. What's your favorite racing film and why? Okay. And I will be listening, but I have to walk away for less than 2 minutes.
Okay. I don't want to know what you're going to be doing while you're listening to me talking about this, but we'll leave that there.
Using the restroom, okay?
If you must know, you were going to say that. Yes. Yeah. Oh boy. Favorite racing films. Wow. I mean, as much fun as something like Talladega Nights is, I think that's just a comedy, humorous, event. But I think from a realistic standpoint, and if you were going to go to the, a movie festival, one of these really sort of like the Cannes Movie Festival or the Sundance Festival, where the the real genuine sort of film buffs go. I think for me it'd have to be the Steve McQueen film Le Mans from the 70s, I guess it was filmed in. And the thing that always strikes me about that film is how little audio there is, how little verbiage there is in the whole movie. There's maybe, the whole script from a verbal standpoint is probably written on one page. It's very, very, very little, and it's, and I think that was a masterstroke because it, these races, especially something like Le Mans, can tell their own story, and you get a feel and a grasp for the allure of the race, from the danger, from the rivalries, from the camaraderie, without any false narrative that can be put out there. And you don't need these silly sort of statements, if you like, and the silly dialogue. No, so for me, the Le Mans film is head and shoulders above anything else. I love that movie every time I get an opportunity to watch that one.
And Le Mans film has literally long gaps with absolutely no dialogue.
Yeah, and I think it's brilliant. It's genius. As I say, it lets the drama and the passion and the emotion of the race come through far better than anything else.
Yeah, and the whole scene where the race is getting to start and you hear the driver's heartbeats.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
It's phenomenal. Yeah, so.
I'm trying to remember who the director was for that movie. Oh gosh, what's his name? I know it. It's on the tip of my tongue. But yeah, very famous director. Done a lot of racing movies, a lot of moves that ilk, and yeah, he did it. And that's not to take away from a lot of the other more. And I don't know. I mean, I wasn't around when that movie was released back in the 70s, so I don't know how much of a commercial success it was. It doesn't strike me as a movie that would be particularly packing out the cinemas in a heartbeat. But it's obviously one of those ones that stood the test of time and
No, it
really
wasn't.
appeals.
It wasn't more successful, and the director was Lee H. Katzin.
Okay, that's not who I was thinking of. Then I'll shut up.
So, but yeah,
boy.
that's a classic. My uncle introduced me to that years and years ago, along with Winning, which is features Paul Newman.
Yep.
As Frank Capra, but he wins the Indy 500.
Mm-hmm.
On the film set, he met Joanne Woodward, who he married, and also introduced him to racing. And James Garner in Grand Prix. Those are old school, man.
Yeah.
More recent vintage. I really like Ron Howard's Rush.
Yep. Yeah. Very, very good.
I think it's one of the more historically accurate films that I've come around. Now, not entirely, because the whole Formula 3 race where James and Nicky first meet was entirely made up. But all of the Formula 1 stuff was really true.
Yep.
As it happened. So
I think that
very well done.
That was a good one. I enjoyed that one. I thought Ford versus Ferrari was another.
Ford versus Ferrari was
not
good.
A pure racing movie per se, but the whole sort of privateer sort of mentality of being a winning race car driver, race car builder, going up against the might of the Ford, bureaucracy, still rings true today. Still rings true to this very day.
Some of the scenes with, Matt Damon walking up there to Edsel Ford and sticking his finger in his face. Yeah, it's well done. And gosh, Kristen Bale.
Yep, very very good as
doing that very unique accent that is very tough to replicate.
It's not that unique.
If you live in Kentucky, it's pretty unique. What is that? What is that? What is that called?
I think Keith's either got a question or he needs to go to the bathroom as well. One of the two.
No. You guys, we've had this discussion before about great movies, racing movies, and I'm surprised that there is a person in Hollywood that you guys have yet to mention every time this conversation comes up, who also was in several racing movies. We really never mentioned.
Dempsey?
No, we never really mentioned Burt Reynolds, who did Stroker Ace, and Burt Reynolds was also involved with a real race, which was illegal, Cannonball Run, and then you also had the movie about the Gumball Rally, which was also an actual real race. Even though these movies were comedies and funny, people don't realize that Gumball Rally and Cannonball Run were
same
real
race.
races.
Same race. Yeah. It's actually same race, and it was Brock Yates.
It still goes on too, right? They still do that race today.
They did the Cannonball Lap of America for a while, where instead of going straight from New York to LA, they traversed the whole profile of the United States.
And then we had Stroker Ace, which had a lot of that. Also, that was another movie that had some NASCAR appearances in it, I believe, if you go back to that film.
What about Kenny Rogers in Six Pack?
I never seen
that. Another crazy racing movie. Yeah. So some of it, one of my favorites has always been Grease Lightning, 1978. Richard Pryor played Wendell Scott. Almost nothing in that film is historically accurate. But at the same time, that film is entertaining as all get out, between Richard's acting and Richie Havens' soundtrack. But they get the story across, not accurately, but it plays well. It's a very entertaining film. So So, Richard, Days of Thunder.
I mean, it was good. It was a good movie. It's a good Hollywood movie. You know, like the F1 movie that's coming out in a few months. I think it'll be a good Hollywood movie for sure. Is it? You know, again, is it something that the purists at the Sundance Festival are gonna, wax lyrical about? Probably not. But I don't think
absolutely not. Yeah.
Again, if you, I don't know if there's a new show on Apple TV called The Studio, and it's about this. It's about Seth Rogen gets the job as a studio director, and he wants to make these classic, sort of like Stanley Kubrick movies or whatever. And then all the senior, investors in the studio want him to make a movie about Kool-Aid, and it's like, there's this big balance, obviously, between what is classed as a good movie. Does it make money, or does it, is it a thought provoking? You could argue that one of the best movies of all time, Schindler's List, was not a particularly successful movie in the theaters, but it stood the test of time, and on many people's radar is one of the best, as is something like Shawshank Redemption as well.
All right, so that takes us to the end of the hour. And Lee, the fact that we're talking about Shawshank Redemption and Schindler's List is all your fault for not coming on and giving us a more detailed NHRA report. And I don't even know where the NHRA is up next. Now, tune in next week. We have Jesse Awuji coming on the show in 1 week's time to discuss his new e-racing series and also talk about his racing career. We're really excited to have Jesse come on the show. He's been on the show once before, back in our pre-video days when we just did the audio show. But yeah, very, very, very good dude, articulate guy. Looking forward to speaking with him and getting the skinny on his new venture here that he's involved with Emmett Smith. So very good. So let me thank IndyCar on Fox. Let me thank Warner Brothers, Formula One movie, EA Sports with the new Formula One game. Let me thank you, Richard. Let me thank Sinister One Productions and our fine producer, Mr. Keith Hayes. Also want to give a quick shout out to Track Day for Vets, people that we love, doing great things out there. I want to thank Facebook Live, YouTube, Spotify, and TikTok. But most of all, I want to thank you folks that tuned in to listen to Richard wax poetic about Le Mans.
Wow, something I've never been accused of doing before, I must admit. So
waxing poetic.
I'll take it. I've been waxing a few things, but certainly not poetically.
All right. So until next week, good night.
Thanks for watching Drafting the Circuits. Make sure to follow Drafting the Circuits on Facebook, Spotify, Twitter, and YouTube. Drafting the Circuits is a Sinister One production.